Pacific Russia, a newly opened frontier. This is the story of the warship Sydney and her mission to seek out new friendships, to boldly go where no Australian warship has gone before. Captain's log, Julian date 0400 20.5.1995. Having departed from Hong Kong and detached from the main body, Success and Hobart, Sydney set course for Russia, the port of Vladivostok. A dense fog had surrounded the ship, and she was feeling her way towards the rendezvous with her escort into Vladivostok. Contact was made, and after a brief exchange, a transfer of personnel, including 7 bags of very welcome mail, Sydney took up station behind the escort vessel and nudged her way into the port of Vladivostok. A traditional 21-gun salute to the nation was fired off Cape Ostry. The powerful return salute from the shore battery shook the ship from stem to stern. Continuing her passage into Vladivostok, and as if to herald the forging of this new relationship, the fog lifted to reveal a large welcoming party, Russian warships lined with officers and sailors, and a band playing a mixture of Russian and Australian music. Sydney Mediterranean moored directly in front of the Pacific Fleet headquarters, alongside the host ship, the Admiral Panteleev, a Udaloy-class destroyer, the last of its class and the most modern destroyer in the Russian Navy. With the ship secured, the commanding officer of Sydney, Commander Richard McMillan, stepped ashore for the first time onto Russian soil and was honoured with the traditional bread and salt greeting ceremony. And while Commander Millen took care of diplomacy, the crew took in the sights.
I am the captain, as you have been told, of HMAS Sydney.
Я командир корабля, как уже вам сказали, носит название Сидней.
And my ship has been visiting Vladivostok since last Sunday. We have some jumpers and some footballs that have been donated to us by an Australian business in Hong Kong. All of my sailors and officers on board, from them a gift of some money to help you run your centre.
И некоторую сумму денег, которые позволят, так сказать, вам несколько развивать свое.
With you?
Вчера у нас на борту была небольшая выставка.
Okay. That is a kangaroo.
may not have been much discussion, but after a few traditional vodka toasts, a little song and dance, the Australian and Russian sailors soon found a common language. The much-awaited trade promotion was held on the flight deck of Sydney, with a mixture of businessmen, Russian Navy and city officials attending a formal sit-down lunch to the background music from the Vladivostok Symphony Orchestra. The highlight of the visit had to be the musical extravaganza of song and dance, staged especially for the Sydney visit. The day of departure arrived only too quickly, and at 11 a.m. on the 25th of May 1995, following a formal tree planting of a friendship tree, and in this instance an Australian snow gun, Sydney slipped her mooring and sailed into the descending fog. The memories of this first ever visit of an Australian ship to Vladivostok to remain in the hearts of the crew forever.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a very friendly. Couldn't do enough for you. Right.
It was great. It was a wonderful run. Very friendly.
Really friendly. They went out of your way to try and help and try and understand the language.
A very exciting time for us. Very cold and had a very good run to Russia.
Get 3 meals every day. Don't have to pay for it.
Clean like heaps of stuff. Done heaps. Earned heaps.
Challenging, exciting, adventurous, and hard.
Bad of the bone.
Same shit, different day.
Another 14 hours slaving away.
I've got 4 months to go. I'm out of here.
Call the hands, call the hands, call the hands. Wakey, wakey, wakey.
Sunshine on my shoulders.
Today I stayed up from 2 o'clock to 8 o'clock
this morning.
How do you feel now?
Tired. I always feel tired, except when the sun comes up, it's pretty good.
This is Lifebuoy Centre. We keep these from sunrise to sunset to make sure nobody falls over.
1, 2.
Keep a good look out on him. And any case, I'll point.
What was it like in there?
Cold?
How often do you have to do that?
Whenever someone goes in the water, which isn't very often. I didn't really know where I was going when I was at school. I didn't have any idea on what I was going to do, and I just saw an ad in the paper and I thought, well, there's 6 years of my life wrapped up, so I joined the Navy. It's a single man's or a single woman's job. There are different stresses and different pressures on somebody who's married, and that time away from home and the time away from your family builds up.
Stress levels, which are very high, sleep deprivation, and all that's thrown into shipboard life, close quarters. I guess the comforts of home really aren't there as well.
These are known as racks, six-packs, farters, anything else, girls, that we call them?
Well, I actually call them coffin lockers because I reckon if we get killed or anything like that in action, we can just shut the curtains. And these places are cold enough, they can just chill us till they get back.
This is Able Seaman Naomi Carey. She's one of our young sailors on board. As you can see, she doesn't have much room up in the rack. It's probably enough for a few photos.
I am woman, hear me roll, in numbers too big to ignore.
Set course 009.
Set course 009.
My granddad and my uncle are in the Navy, and they used to talk a lot about it, and I just joined.
What brought me into the Navy is quite funny, actually. I was watching An Officer and a Gentleman and then decided that I might go down to the recruiting centre to check it out, and that's how it actually started. So I went down there and signed up, and then a month later I was in, so...
And is it anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
If I have to, I can do anything.
I don't mind working with women. A lot of people disagree, as long as they can do their job, and I'm sure that a lot of women out there can do it better than what I can.
Actually, I find we're all pretty well even, but once they step ashore, it all sorts seems to fall apart. A few people get a few into them and they change, they drastically change. 95% of people have no problems working in a mixed gender environment. Unfortunately, there's that small proportion that are slightly immature, and for their benefit, just like to highlight a few of these.
No matter what a female does, to get the same recognition or the same well done or something as what a guy does, we've got to strive that much harder.
This is females' revenge here. Women's revenge.
Take tennis with your head.
Here's my haircut.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Give it to me. Go here.
I'm a firm believer in adrenaline taking over and people going into not so much automatic mode, but people doing it by the steps, by the numbers. And I think the taxpayers can rest back and say yes, that the Navy will do a good job.
But we are ultimately Australia's insurance policy. We must have an independent and credible defensive capability, while at all times encouraging an openness in defence matters in the region. You can't beat 200 Australians arriving in a city in their own home, bringing a bit of Australia to whichever port we're in overseas. You can't beat that for diplomacy and exposure and helping to focus interest on Australia.
Come around here in front of the officers, please. Hey, Officer Whitford and King on the other side, please.
They might not have been able to communicate, but the Russian and Australian sailors soon found a common language. A little song and dance, and a lot of vodka. There was much to celebrate, until only recently Vladivostok was a closed port, the secretive base of the Pacific Russian fleet. But as the HMAS Sydney nudged her way in beside former enemy warships, she symbolically declared the Australian-Russian Cold War is over.
5 years ago, as was said by lots of people, a visit by an Australian warship to Russia was just inconceivable, and it now has occurred for the first time in over 50 years, and that's indicative of the newer world realities.
Since the Russian, in particular the Pacific Rim, had been closed, and Vladivostok had been closed for 50 years or something, it was, and the sailors didn't have an opportunity to meet foreigners. For them, every visit of a foreign navy is an event, is extraordinary event.
As Commander Richard McMillan took care of diplomacy, his crew took in the sights.
Hi everyone back home. I'm in Russia at the moment, Vladivostok. It's pretty cold here. It's about as cold as what it is in Canberra back home.
While they swapped stories and tokens of each other's navies, the purpose of this visit was in fact as a marketing exercise to boost our $350 million export industry to the region. The ship was used to stage an Australian trade exhibition, but it seemed more trading was done on the streets.
$15. 50. 15. 15. 10. No, 50. No, 10, no. 50. 15. 15's okay. I'll do you a hat for 15. That's cool. Yeah, cool.
Oh, what have you been doing here since you arrived?
Drinking lots of vodka, meeting the local women. They're very good.
Oh, I'm having a ball. Having a really good time. The people are excellent. You just can't understand anything they say. But they're really friendly and they try to help you, and we're seeing heaps. And they're doing really good for us.
They're totally amazed that they have women at sea. They're just amazed by it all. They snap photos of you all the time.
They were even more amazed to see a female player on our Navy soccer team. The Russians slaughtered the Aussies 6-1, but they more than made up for it at a concert staged in their honour later that night.
Excellent, thoroughly enjoyed it. I had a ball.
I think it's the hospitality that counts. They couldn't do enough for us.
For me, it was just, I mean, I'm speechless. It was so touching and so emotional. Absolutely positive.
So too was a visit to this home for children with cerebral palsy.
And from all of my sailors and officers on board, from them, a gift of some money to help you run your centre.
With barely enough resources to care for 185 to 18-year-olds, the Navy's gifts and $500 donation was gratefully received. But while the Navy insists diplomacy was higher on the week's agenda than naval relations, the many friendships forged between sailors were a positive side effect nonetheless.
While it wasn't certainly our primary aim to have a defence focus on the visit, to a certain degree that was inevitable. Certainly the Russian Navy really pulled out all the stops to make us feel welcome and to organise a program for us that was, while a little bit socially punishing, nevertheless professionally interesting.
The Russian Navy has already indicated it hopes to make a reciprocal first visit to Australia by the end of the year.
I don't know about you, but another day of hospitality like that and I might have been feeling distinctly weary.
As we sail out of Vladivostok, everyone agrees it's been an historic week. While the Navy insists it's just one small step towards a defence dialogue, the friendships forged between former enemy sailors over many toasts of vodka this week have probably done more for Russian-Australian relations than the highest diplomatic mission could. And certainly for the sailors on the HMAS Sydney, it's been a week they'll never forget. Vivian McGrath sailing out of Vladivostok for 11 a.m.